Mr. Page, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning. The Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City proceedings will begin. The board is now in session. If you're in possession of any type of electronic device, please place said device on the off or silent mode during proceedings. There being no preliminary matters on the AM docket, Madam Chair, case number 1, trade name pending, 3300 Clipper Mill Road, Class B, beer, wine, and liquor marketplace license. An application for a new Class B, beer, wine, and liquor marketplace license under Article 12-1001-2, requiring $1 million in capital investment, 5 or more outlets for preparing and serving regular meals that may be consumed by patrons in a common eating area or anywhere else on premises, a minimum seating capacity of 75 individuals, a minimum capacity of 200 individuals, and a maximum capacity of 500 individuals, as determined by the Fire Department of Baltimore City. Food requirement, 51%. This is a request for live entertainment, outdoor table service, and off-premise catering. Please come forward.
Thank you, Ms. Hecker.
Good morning. Caroline Hecker, Rosenberg, Martin, Greenberg, on behalf of the applicant. I'm joined by our licensee applicant, David Tufaro, and the Director of Operations for the Food Market, Kathleen Tozy.
Before we get started, I will have them sworn in.
Raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes.
Thank you.
With your
You may
permission, I'd
proceed.
like to proceed by way of a proffer.
Great.
We're certainly able to answer any questions you might have. The license premises for this license is 3300 Clipper Mill Road. It is a historic mill building that was constructed actually in the 1700s. It has a really fascinating history. This license, I guess actually I should start, is only available in the 40th and 43rd legislative district. So you'll see in the file, the first thing that I have in there is a copy of the legislative district map that confirms that this property is in the 40th legislative district. As I was saying, the property is an old historic mill building. There are some aerial photographs of it in the file as well. As well as an excerpt from the Maryland Inventory of Historic Places. The building was originally a grist mill. It was later converted to a textile mill, and it was named Clipper Mill in recognition of the ships that used the cotton duck cloth that was produced there for their sails. And so there's some interesting information in the file that you can peruse at your leisure. I won't go through that in too much detail since it doesn't have a whole lot to do with the liquor license. I just think it's interesting. Mr. Tufaro is the developer of the property. It's part of a $22 million project that was started in 2013. He also developed Mill Number 1 just a little bit further down the Jones Falls from this property. This project has involved significant floodproofing of the property, including the placement of electrical transformers above the floodplain and the installation of aquarium-grade glass along the first floor, given its proximity to the water. There is an article in the file from the Baltimore Sun about the transformation of the building and the success that we've had so far. The proposed market will be about 18,000 square feet located on the ground floor of the mill building. There'll be space for about 10 vendors. There'll be inside seating areas and outside seating areas. And I've included in the file, you'll see there is a floor plan showing the layout of the interior space. There's a seating plan that shows 140 seats inside, 90 seats outside. There are 28 seats at counters, and then there is a life safety plan in the file that shows a fire safety capacity of 301 persons. The idea is that we will try to build on the industrial heritage of the building. There's some renderings that you'll see in the file that show the proposed interior design that sort of takes its history from the industrial past of the building. Our idea was to have not only a food market, but also to have retail spaces as well, make it more of a traditional marketplace rather than just a food hall. So our tenants that we've signed up so far, there are 7 so far, are Ceremony Coffee, which I think all of you are familiar with, Firefly Farms, which is a cheese shop, Heritage by Ray Eugenio, which is a Filipino food restaurant, White Tea Company, which is obviously a tea shop, Gundalo Gourmet, which is prepared foods, Rogan Art, which is a Mount Washington bakery and pastry shop, and the Homebody General Store, which offers gifts, home goods, and other retail type items. The Director of Operations for the market is Ms. Tozy, who's here today. She has a degree in hotel and restaurant management and 2 decades of experience in the food service industry. She has prepared an alcoholic beverages service policy, which is also included in your file. You'll see that we plan to card anyone who appears to be under 35 years of age and to require all managers and individual vendors that serve alcoholic beverages to take the alcoholic beverages safety training course. We are requesting live entertainment. It's not intended to be a concert venue, but it is intended to be an amenity to the market space. We'll have small bands from time to time performing within the market area.
And is that throughout the market area or in the event space?
The event space is actually going to be a separate, it's not part of our licensed premises. That will be a separately managed area that will be available to be rented out. And that will separately have live entertainment, but that's not part of our licensed premises here.
Thank you.
The hours of operation for the marketplace license are the same as they are for a traditional Class B license, 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. We are proposing our hours of operation, at least to start, to be 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday and 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. on the weekends. As I had mentioned, the property is a $22 million redevelopment project of the historic mill building. The marketplace itself is about $1.3 million, all privately funded. There is a budget at the back of your file as well that shows the breakdown of that.
Right.
With regard to the requirements for the marketplace license, the capital investment is required to be $1 million. The investment that's shown on the breakdown that you have in the file shows a $1.3 million investment in the marketplace facilities. And as I mentioned, it is part of a $22 million project overall. The seating capacity is required to be at least 75 persons. Our floor plan shows a seating capacity of 140 patrons plus 90 seats outside and 28 seats at the countertops. We're required to have a fire-rated capacity of between 200 individuals and 500 individuals. Our life safety plan shows a capacity of 301 individuals, so it falls within that range. And our average daily receipts are required to be at least 51% of our in the sale of food. We don't expect that to be difficult to meet at all, given the mix of tenants that we are proposing to have and the number of food-specific options that we will have at this location.
And for the final 3, do you have a sense of what providers you're gonna, or vendors you're gonna look at?
I don't think we're at a point where we can announce anything publicly. We're talking to some additional tenants, but I am not in a position to say publicly what they might be. We have been meeting with the community extensively throughout the duration of this project since 2013. Most recently, we met with the Hampden Community Council at their July meeting to bring them up to date on the project. We haven't heard any concerns about the marketplace component at all. Mr. Tufaro is our individual licensee applicant. He is a Baltimore City resident. He is the founder of Terra Nova Ventures, which is the developer of the project. He is a recovering attorney. He has been in the real estate industry for about 40 years. Right. This is his first liquor license, but as the landlord, owner, and developer of the property, he has every incentive to make sure that this operates as a first-class operation to avoid any type of impact on the other tenants in the building. As I mentioned, there are office tenants and residential tenants above. I think there's 28 apartments and office space above the market. So we expect this to all operate in harmony, and having the landlord hold the license and control that aspect of it certainly allows a lot more control to make sure this is, as I said, a first-class operation.
On that point, Ms. Tucker, if I could, Madam Chair.
Sure.
On that point, so the way the marketplace license works, as I understand, and I think this is an exciting project, we would, if we agree, we issue the license to Mr. Tufaro. He can then, basically, as I understand it, for lack of a better word, assign which outlets get licked.
Yes.
Okay, so
yes.
how?
And the individual vendors each are required to supply particular information to the liquor board. They have to provide their alcoholic beverages safety training certificate, their trader's license, their health permits, so that the liquor board has records of the individual licensee or individual vendors on the license that are selling alcohol. The license itself will identify which vendors within the licensed premises are authorized to sell alcohol under the license.
Okay, and so do we have a sense now, or is it too premature to figure out how many of the outlets, and I know you're still leasing, but how many of the outlets, percentage-wise, we think will have alcohol?
Right now, 6 of the 7
Right, existing.
existing.
Right, and then the final 3, you don't know. Okay,
Okay.
all right.
Generally, I think the idea would be that anyone who has the ability to sell or plans to sell food would also be able to sell alcohol. The folks who are selling home goods probably don't need to be selling alcohol.
She's not going to.
Listen, I would love alcohol when I shop for home goods.
Right. I don't want to preclude that, right?
Thank you.
Yes.
I know you spoke of live entertainment. But for this venue that we are speaking of, will the live entertainment include any dancing for this venue?
It's not intended to be a dance club, if that's what you're asking. I mean, there's not a dance floor proposed. Will someone get up and dance? I can't really tell you that no one will stand up and dance, but it's not intended to be a dance club of any variety.
That's good for me.
Yes.
All right. Did you have,
If you have any other questions, we're happy to answer them. Otherwise, we would request that the board approve the issuance of the marketplace license for this location.
I just get Ms. Tozzi's last name spelling.
C-O-Z-Z-I?
yes,
I'm sorry, Madam
oh,
Chair.
no, go ahead.
Ms. Hecker, I noticed it's $1.3 million investment to date on,
On the marketplace alone,
exceeds the $1 million.
yes, it exceeds the $1 million
Thank you.
requirement.
All right, any other questions? No? Okay. All right.
Nothing further?
All right. Having heard the testimony, or the proffer from council and testimony, brief testimony, and having reviewed the statute and what is required for this license to be issued, I am satisfied that this new Class B beer, wine, and liquor marketplace license meet the requirements under the statute, and I will approve the license.
I concur.
I too would join my colleagues in granting the new Class B beer, wine, and liquor marketplace license with live entertainment, outdoor table service, and off-premise catering. Good luck.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Alzibus for the record. Board Exhibit 1, business plan.
Dutch Courage, 2229 North Charles Street, Class BD7, beer, wine, and liquor license. An application for a new Class BD7, beer, wine, and liquor license under Article 12-1603, small e, number 2, small i, requiring $50,000 in capital investment, and a request for live entertainment. Please come forward.
Mr. Hurdle,
Abraham Hurdle on behalf of Middle Zoo Beverage Group, LLC.
real quickly, ladies and gentlemen, this is being recorded. This hearing is being recorded, so when you come up or testify, please state your name very clearly for our court reporter down there. Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you. Did we want to swear everyone in
Yes.
before we go any further?
Raise your right hands, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
As I said, Abraham Hurdle on behalf of Middle Zoo Beverage Group, LLC. With me is Brendan Doerr and Eric Foy. This is actually the second time we've applied for this license. We were back here, I think, about a year, maybe a little further back, on a process that started about 2 years ago. We had initially applied for 2220 North Charles Street, and there were some challenges with securing a lease in a fashion that we needed. As a result, we ceased pursuing that address and went about zoning the property across the street, 2229 North Charles, for our use. We have been approved for live entertainment and outdoor table service at the property across the street. I do have some letters that were sent in support from the Charles Village Civic Association, which I think should be in the file,
We only have,
February 8th.
I don't think we have them.
I have
Actually,
a copy for the board and one for Ms. Stacy.
I just have one.
Sure.
No, we do have Charles Village.
And there's been significant community support from all the community groups up in that area. We do have some people here to testify, but I think we can probably just proffer today. It was previously granted by the board, and again, at 2220 North Charles Street, and all we are is across the street. They plan to be open from 5 to 2 most nights, occasionally have some sort of jazz or live music, no dancing. Outdoor table service will cease at midnight, I believe. Is that correct, Eric? Yep. Both of the gentlemen who are going to be the licensees in this matter have 15-plus years of experience working in bars, restaurants, and high-end cocktail bars. And as you can imagine, they're very much looking forward to getting this taken care of. They've spent around $250,000 to date. We don't have receipts, but I'm sure they will greatly exceed the required sums of 12, I think it's 12-206, 12-1603, and 12-1407.
All right. So this is a little bit, from my understanding, this was a little bit more complicated. So there was a drafting error. You're going to speak to that?
In terms of the street situation.
Right.
Correct. The way the law was initially written, it was, I guess, a little loose in terms of how it defined the area. So under their previous application, they would have been comfortably bounded by the guidelines that were listed under the rule. And under their new location, which is, again, just across the street, they would be, I guess there's an argument they'd be outside those boundaries. I think there was a call and some contact made with the State Attorney General's office, and that has been cleared up, and there's, I guess, some sort of resolution in the works, or their definition of bounded by or within has been, I guess the term would be loosened, so that this property would be covered.
All right, so just to clarify the record, so it appears that there may have been, or that there was a drafting error. So we do have a letter that was requested by Delegate Maggie McIntosh from the Attorney General's office that would, that clarifies the boundary issue that you were just indicating. And it appears that there may have been, so this boundary issue was a product of a drafting error, and based on review by the Attorney General's office, clarifying or confirming that there was a drafting error, we do have the authority, if it meets other criteria, to issue this license. So we just want to ensure that it's clear for the record. It appears that, and it appears that there was, based on the letter from the Attorney General's office, the eastern boundary of
I've seen the letter.
Lovegrove. Do you have the letter?
I don't have it with me, but I've seen the letter, absolutely.
Okay, here.
Yeah, basically the issue is the east versus west side of the street on Charles.
Okay. All right, well, we want to ensure that it's clear for
Absolutely.
the record that we do have the authority to issue this license because of this drafting error, and so we have it, and that'll be within the file. The letter from the Attorney General's office will be within the file. You can finish your proffer.
The only thing I would still proffer at this point is, both the gentlemen who are going to be operating the establishment are from the area. Mr. Doerr lives up the street from the location, and Mr. Foy was recently someone who moved into the area, and I believe lives, a block or two away? 1 block away, and has been experiencing all the benefits that area has to offer in terms of access to different locations and businesses.
Okay, just a couple of questions from me, going back a little bit. You indicated that the license, well, you indicated 2 individuals.
Correct, and I apologize.
Yes.
Mr. Doerr is the licensee
Right.
on the application. His business partner and associate is Mr. Foy, who is also with us. And they're going to be the 2 people primarily operating the location.
And-
Mr. Doerr will be there, I would imagine, just about, unfortunately for him, about all operating hours, certainly initially, as well, I believe, both of them. And then as time goes by, I anticipate they'll still probably work about 70 hours a week.
All right, so what are the operating hours?
5 to 2
Right.
every evening.
And,
Outdoor
Can you-
service ceasing at 12.
right,
Live entertainment on an occasional evening. I believe that would also cease probably before 1. I can't recall. Did we have a timeline that would definitely end? No different timeline for live entertainment to
and,
end.
I'm sorry, please state your name for the record.
Brendan Dorr.
All right, and can you go through you mentioned that they had 15 years of
Each of them has
experience.
15 years of experience. They both worked, I believe, most recently at B&O, which is just down the street from here. And they are very experienced cocktail bar bartenders. They've done all aspects of kind of the bar side of the restaurant management in terms of the ordering and just every aspect of it. It's going to be a very interesting operation that they're going to have. I think they're going to be very successful at this location.
All right, and you indicated that so far it's $250,000 that have gone into this venture.
Unfortunately for them, the budget is about $250,000 so far, and they're still spending.
All
And
right.
that will be done in about a month, is my understanding.
All right, and explain the nature of the live entertainment.
My understanding is that for the most part, it's going to be 2 to 3 piece bands. Typically, it's going to be jazz in nature. It's more to provide a certain atmosphere that they're targeting, as opposed to be, I guess, arguably some sort of massive music destination. They're certainly trying to bring in very quality acts, but it isn't going to be a situation where they're selling $100 tickets and having hundreds of people come to the location. Their capacity, I think, will be, do you have an estimate, 150? It's going to be a very small area for space. And they have some seating outside out back, which is in a parking lot, that is sequestered from the rest of the area for them. And again, that will be, people will have to come inside around midnight every night. And so far, we've had significant support from all the community groups that we've interacted with regards to this business.
So other than Charles Village, which other groups?
I believe Old Goucher and the Remington, I always get the Remington group. What is it? Brendan?
Gria?
GRIA, the Greater Remington Improvement Association, is that right? Great.
And then how many seats outside?
16, so four tops is my understanding.
All right. And other than you two individuals, how many people will be working with the alcohol?
We believe there will be probably every day 4 to 6 other people, depending on the day of the week, working either behind the bar or on the floor serving.
And will they be, or are they tip certified, or will they be tip certified? Are you two tip certified?
Already are, yes.
Any questions?
I want to just clarify this for the record. Mr. Hurdle, anyone from the community here? Is Mr. Weeks, are you here from the community?
Adjacent neighbor to business.
Okay. I just want to make sure that
Outdoor table service.
we're clear on
Just did.
that the intent of the initial legislation from last session was to include Lovegrove.
Correct.
It was drafted to Charles Street, I believe, and it was a drafting error, as the chairwoman mentioned. And that, more importantly, that in the upcoming legislative session, there'll be corrective legislation to include Lovegrove. Is that everyone's understanding?
The legislation is, my understanding is, it will be corrected. It will adjust from Charles to Lovegrove, which would therefore, regardless of drafting error, fully encompass their establishment.
Right.
Thank you.
One question.
Yes,
Outdoor table service.
Mhm.
You mentioned that.
absolutely.
I don't see that listed.
It should be.
It's not part of the application?
Actually, it isn't. Thank you, thank you, Chairman Jones.
I would indicate that at this time, that would be unfortunately an error on my part. I don't know if the board has the discretion to review that at this time. I believe it was part of the initial application, and I know it's part of the zoning application to have the outdoor seating.
I don't think that we can, Mr. Akris.
Be sworn in?
Yes, since you're testifying.
Swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Unfortunately, the alcoholic beverage article does not allow an amendment at this time. If you're going to make an amendment to an application, it has to come 15 days prior to the hearing.
What if the initial application that was submitted before this had outdoor table seating? Doesn't matter, does
the initial
superseding one?
The initial application across the street, no, that wouldn't, because this is a
Different.
change in address.
Right.
I have a question perhaps. If we postpone today's application 2 weeks or 3 weeks in this case, made the amendment today, and therefore it'd be a 15-day notice, would that be something that would be viable under the board's purview?
The board can choose to continue the case for another 14 days. We would post it with the live entertainment and outdoor table service request, and the board can hear the matter again.
That's fine with me.
That would be our request.
Okay, we can, yes, we can postpone it until.
With the
then.
sole issue being outdoor table
Outdoor
service?
table service.
No, we'd have to
Hear the whole
revisit
thing.
the entire case if we postponed it, right?
Because the board
That's
right
true.
now hasn't
Not-
ruled on the,
Right.
correct.
Whatever the board's,
Yes, we'll continue it, and we'll have to review the entire case
I understand.
again.
I guess at this point I would move for a postponement.
Yes, granted.
Thank you.
Any exhibits to read in?
No.
The CBCA exhibit, I wasn't sure. Ms. Russell does have that exhibit, correct?
Well, we can, okay, that's fine, thanks.
We'll just call the exhibits next time.
Yes.
No exhibits.
All right.
And then just, because now
4017-19, Eastern Avenue, Class BD7, beer, wine, and liquor license. An application to transfer ownership with continuation of live entertainment, requesting off-premise catering and delivery of alcoholic beverages. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin J. Kadensky representing the applicant.
Very quickly, let's have the applicant sworn in, please.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
This is an application to transfer an existing license. You may or may not remember this, but I'll try to see if I can refresh your memory.
Assume I don't remember.
Yeah, I remember things I forgot. Remember I told you that before, now I don't remember who I am. I lost my wallet. Miss Rosario bought the place in December and went to settlement, paid all the money out. The Glanvilles, for whatever reason, had the license, and that license, they has a catering, and the people were using the license at a Bumai temple, and they had a big brouhaha, and we couldn't get the license transferred because it was this penalty was, the violation was pending. And in the meantime, the Glanvilles took a position that, you know, they didn't know who was running the license and the whole thing, and then it didn't help Miss Rosario at all to get it in. And these people that were in there are completely didn't help at all. And I just, for your owner, I wrote them letters and they send them back this way. If you read what it says.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
you may want to reverse it. But yeah, we get the point.
I'm sorry. You see what they're saying?
I want to make sure Commissioner
Yeah.
Jones.
So that's the kind of people that we were dealing with, okay? And I would think they were directing it to me, not to anybody else. But Ms. Rosario is doing some work. She's going to have apartments upstairs. She's making the place downstairs actually smaller. She has an accounting business. She's going to have her office. She'll be on premises. Her plan is to open starting in the afternoons and then going through. She'll be alcohol certified. That she'll make sure all her people are alcohol certified. She'll be familiarize herself with the rules and regulations of the board. She's going to hire a manager because, quite frankly, she bought it as an investment property, but she's moving in there, so she'll be on the premises at all times. And the type of entertainment, I don't think she's planning. She'll tell you maybe light DJ or something like that. The place, quite frankly, is not big enough for it. And she's made and talked with the Highlandtown Business Association. She's familiar because she's been operating up there.
What do you mean she's been operating up there?
She's been operating through her accounting business up there, so she knows. You know,
Well, I don't have it there yet. But it's
no,
gonna
but
be there.
she's familiar with the community up there, the Latino community.
Ms. Rosario, what is your experience in alcohol business?
Currently, I don't have any, but I'm planning to actually go to school or take some courses. So, because I'm gonna be on the premise, in the back. I'm gonna have an office in the back of the premise, so I'm gonna be there all the time.
Okay. When you say take courses, you mean the TIPS certified, the alcohol awareness?
He already
course?
gave me the information where I need to go.
All right. And I know that it's not yet operational, but what type of, how many employees do you intend to have there?
3 or 4.
3 or 4. And Mr. Kadensky talked about the live entertainment, a DJ. Do you have a better sense of that?
Not at the moment, but because the place is smaller, so I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with that yet.
But we're talking about DJs or live bands or?
Not live bands. I don't think I have the space for live bands.
Okay. And when do you think you'll be done with fixing the place up?
So we just started because the city was closed. We were not able to get a permit, so we just started building. So I would say maybe 3 or 4 months.
All right. Any questions, commissioners?
No questions.
I'd like to hear, I want this to go on record. When you say it's a small place, when I think in terms of live entertainment, the music gets good and the dancing starts. Is dancing part of your plan?
No, I don't think I'm gonna have any dancing at all.
I think.
But sometimes people spontaneously.
Right, right.
That's the difference. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
Now, the only thing is I don't know what the board's position is going to be on this outstanding fine that's out there that the people had left, and we probably would send a letter asking for a waiver, because she had nothing really to do with that.
Madam Chair, we've had extensive conversation with the the current licensees, the current applicant, and counsel for the applicant in reference to the $2,125 owed to the agency. We cannot physically transfer the license until that fee is paid by someone.
Well, that's that then, isn't it?
Right.
Asked and answered, as they say in legal jargon. Okay, I tried.
All right.
I can't pay it, so I can get this done.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions, comments? All right. Having heard proffer from counsel and testimony from the applicant, I'm satisfied that this meets the requirements to transfer ownership with continuation of live entertainment, requesting off-premise catering, and delivery of alcoholic beverages. So I will grant the issuance of this transfer.
Thank you.
I concur, but if the fees, all fees due are paid, I concur.
Yeah, join my colleagues. I too would grant the BD7 transfer with live entertainment, off-premise catering, and delivery of alcoholic beverages. Of course, issuance will be pending payment of the fee.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
No exhibits.
One 1600 Hazel Street, Class BD7, beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership. Please come forward. Madam Chair and Commissioners, the address of 1600 Hazel Street received notice from the Board of Municipal Zoning Appeals in reference to the new conformity to the new zoning standards and must comply within 2 years.
Good morning, Stephen W. Fogelman, on behalf of the applicant, DeVries Summerfield.
Thank you. Before we get started, let's have the applicant sworn in.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
You may
Thank
proceed.
you. Thank you. Ms. Summerfield is a lifelong resident of Baltimore City. She is engaged as a property manager for Edgewood Management on North Avenue. She has been looking for an investment for a few years now and was able to find one relatively reasonably priced down in Curtis Bay at 1600 Hazel. You might remember this address because there was a murder there. There was a homicide there maybe 6 months ago where people came into the bar. They weren't customers that were recognized, but they ended up killing a customer in the bar. They also had some problems with underage sales. The prior owner and licensee, Mr. Popo, was in very poor health, and so it is fitting and it's a good thing for the community to have some new leadership and some new management at this location. Ms. Summerfield understands, she's been a customer. She doesn't have significant prior alcohol management experience, but she will be alcohol management certified, will be on premises each evening. Her fiance will be on premises all day, and they are prepared to do whatever it takes to make sure that that it's a safe environment in the neighborhood, and that includes putting in cameras if necessary for blind spots, but mostly just to let people know that nothing will be tolerated under this management. I mean, that's the biggest way you do a culture change on these things. So regarding that, as I say, Ms. Summerfield will be alcohol management certified. I've explained to her from my time on the board how important it is to be vigilant about complying with all the rules, but that, quite frankly, the 401A violations are the easiest things that can happen to you, to let your guard down and then put yourself in a very precarious situation. So she understands the legal ramifications should there be some kind of lack of compliance on her part.
All right, thank you. And other than your fiance, anyone else that you intend to hire to manage the establishment? No? Okay. And You mentioned the community, any communication?
There
with the
has not
community?
been. It's, the community's a little in transition there, the community association, but we did talk this morning about her going, actively finding the next meeting and going there and introducing herself and giving out her cell phone number.
And any changes to the establishment?
Not at all.
Questions?
No questions.
None.
All right. Having heard testimony as well proffer from Mr. Fogelman, I approve the transfer of ownership of this BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license.
I concur.
I too join my colleagues and would grant the transfer of ownership. Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Mr.
Appreciate it.
Fogelman.
No exhibits?
Brick Row Pub, 901 South Clinton Street, Class BD7, beer, wine, and liquor license. An application to transfer ownership with continuation of outdoor table service, request and delivery of alcoholic beverages. Madam Chair, the address of 901 South Clinton Street did receive notice from the zoning department in reference to the new zoning standards for BD7s and must comply within 2 years.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen W. Fogelman, on behalf of applicants.
All right, before we get started, let's have the applicant sworn in, please.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Thank you very much. A preliminary matter before we proceed. I let Ms. Russell know this morning, and whatever format you should require, we're happy to do. Specifically, the third applicant on this license, Kyle Adams, is not going to be going forward as a licensee. So the applicants will be Mr. and Mr. Seaborg here. Basically, it was contractual differences. No payment had been made. So what I would ask is that, well, let me hear from Mr. Page about this, based on his facial language. We just need to remove an applicant, that's all.
So it's just, we're going from 3 applicants to 2 because Kyle Adams will be removed. So I think.
10%. It was a putative 10% owner, just so you know.
I understand, so it sounds
Yeah.
like that's going to be an amendment to the application. Mr. Akros,
Exactly, it is an amendment to the application.
okay, so we have to post it and everything,
We would postpone it.
Or postpone it and then
Postpone it for another
post it.
2 weeks, and then we can hear it in 2 weeks, because the board will essentially be looking at a totally different application.
Yeah, I completely disagree with that legal analysis. It is a 10% owner. These two own 90% of the company, have been vetted. It's the same company. It's simply changing the percentages of these gentlemen from 45% to 50%. So I don't see that as a substantive matter.
I understand, but this is typically what we do if because right now, we're going from 3 to 2.
But we're not asking for anything new.
I understood.
These two names were already posted for 2 weeks, and then the sign blew down. The sign's been up for 2 months with these gentlemen. And so the only question for the board would be the fitness of these gentlemen.
Right, I understand that, but we're changing, you're amending the license essentially. You are
I'm
amending the
removing
license.
a party. I'm not adding anything. And I think an amendment sometimes might suggest something new. But
Amended application must be filed, Madam Chair. This makeup of the stock of the ownership is in fact changing. We advertised, we posted, we gave notice. We have to do the same.
Right. I mean, the law only requires 30, if you're transferring less than 30% of ownership in a bar, you don't even need a public hearing. And so that's why I'm just confused as to why a 10% owner here would be a.
I understand, this is typically what we do, though.
All right, I'm, okay,
So
thank you.
we can put it in as quickly as possible, right? 2
And we
weeks.
will, absolutely.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
No exhibits?
No.
No exhibits.
El Sombrero Dos, 3821-23 Eastern Avenue, Class BD7, beer, wine, and liquor license. Amended application to transfer ownership and location of a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license presently located at 4901 Pennington Avenue to 3821-23 Eastern Avenue. Please come forward.
Counsel,
For the record, Melvin J. Kanansky representing the applicant.
let's have them sworn in, please.
Raise your right hands, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
This originally was an application was put in, and we're gonna try to move the license down to, into Fells Point, but due to the zoning restriction, the Warden Precinct, we couldn't do it. We had created a new Class B license down there for Mr. Cruz. This is his daughter, and he also has a restaurant on that same block, this one here, so this restaurant's been there for the last 3 or 4 years. It's gonna be a small little bar, seats 40 or 50 people at the most. I always like to give little visuals of when I have a chance to do it. Here's a copies of their
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
people are gonna be alcohol certified. I have copies of the certification for Ms. Cruz and 2 or 3 of the other people work there. There's only about 3 or 4 people that work there. I can submit these.
Thank you.
Ms.
They will be received.
And her experience has been she's working for the last 6 years with her dad up the street, and then also with her brother, who's operating also down in Fells Point. So she has plenty of experience in the business. They are very familiar with the people in the Hollandtown Business Associations. Mr. Cruz has been there, has been very instrumental in getting some of the changes in the zoning and things there, and he's going to be basically a few stores away and be able to help her in this business.
I noticed you provided certificate of awards for alcohol awareness certification, but I don't see one
think
for
the
Ms.
first one
Cruz.
is-
It's not, it's,
No, the other one in your hand.
it's not the certificate.
Let me see. Yeah, well, it's the,
Does she have a
we
certificate?
have it.
Copy.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. All right, and the other restaurant that Mr. Cruz has, where's that, or what is
It's a
that?
family that has, and it's Carlos and Charlie's, which is right up the street, and then the one down in Fells Point that I've just recently opened in the, what's the name of the building?
Union Wharf.
Yeah, Wharf. It was one there years ago. A very nice restaurant. I don't know if you've all been down there or not.
Any issues with that license? No.
No.
All right, and you mentioned the community association. Has there been any communication with the
Should-
community
yeah, you-
association?
Give your name and address for the record, please.
Simona Cruz. I just recently moved from 305 West Monument to 706 George Street. Brian Sweeney from the Community Association, and then also Carlos Nunez from the Highlandtown Association. Grew up, with our family business, so we're very close to them anyways. Always worked with the community and the association.
Great. And the individuals on these certificates, are they,
The current employees that, just want to make sure you get them pre-certified. Like I say, it's just about 40 or 50 people. If you look at the menu, you'll see as a visual about what the place looks like. They're going to have a very, I think towards the back, there's a very small little bar they're going to put in there. That's not going to be their emphasis.
all right, so other than the 4 individual certificates I have, no one else will be alcohol certified or managing the alcohol there?
If we were to have more employees that come on, then they would be certified. But right now, that's the staff. It's a small place, so that's perfectly adequate for us at this moment.
Okay. All right, any questions from commissioners?
No questions.
All right, and quickly. Any changes to the establishment itself, anything like that?
Anyway.
Like changes, construction, fixing up?
What you're going to get,
Okay.
maybe a little bar they're going to put in there, but it's not
Right.
going to be, bar.
Right. All right. Having heard proffer from council and the testimony today, I am satisfied that this application meets the standard, the requirements to transfer ownership and location of a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license presently located at 4901 Pennington Avenue to 3821-23 Eastern Avenue. So I will grant the issuance of this license.
I concur with the transfer.
I too concur with the transfer of ownership and location of this license, now currently at 4901 Pennington Avenue to 3821-23 Eastern Avenue. Good luck.
Good luck. Thank you.
What's your first name? I didn't get your first name. Carlos, thank you.
Alcohol exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, menu. Board Exhibit 2, alcohol awareness certifications, 4 in total.
.529 South Bond Street, Class BD7, beer, wine, and liquor license. Amended application to transfer ownership with continuation of live entertainment. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin J. Kadensky, representing the applicant in this case.
Before we get started, let's have him sworn in.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
This is a transfer of a license. It's been down that location for many, many, many years. Don't want to bore you with it, but I probably know more about it than anybody else. My father had a bar right around the corner there. It used to be called Tugboat Ann's years ago. It was frequented by people from H&S Bakery. It's a nice little niche down in Fells Point. Mr. Atwell's had over 15 years' experience in the business. He'll tell you a little bit about that. He's met with the Douglas District Community Group. I don't know if you have their letter.
I don't think so.
Okay, well, I've got some extra ones here. This is for each one of you.
Is this that property that Santa Clara that's been,
Yeah.
seems like it's been vacant for decades?
Yes. At least 3 years, I think now.
The problem was that the originally was owned by one group, I think Mr. Rayner, Gene Rayner, who was the original, and he passed, and then Mr. Oliver owned Paul, and then he sold to the H&S people across the street, and then they're developing the property with regard to the apartments, and then Mr. Atwell is going to go ahead and take the lower area. Actually, I have to have a couple write-ups here, which don't get this much information.
Thank you.
It's not a very large place. It's probably, and I asked him about the type of entertainment. He said he may have occasionally have something, but it's not a place where he's going to have bands and dancing and all that. Just along with that, he wants to have the place. It's about 1,000 square feet, so you can see it's not that big. And there, he wants to do it like a neighborhood type of thing, like he mentions there Henningers and Peters Inn and all that, which were just small local places that had been there for years. You want to state your name and address for the record, please?
Douglas Atwell, home address 410 South Wolf Street.
Now, in your experience in the business, I'm sure the commissioner will know how long you've been in the business, where'd you work, what did you do, who'd you do it with, et cetera.
15 years now, and I started bartending in Fells Point between Red Star when it reopened in 2004, and then after that, Waterfront Hotel until 2011. The original location of Rye on Broadway Street at 807. And then after that, I moved up to Hamden. I still live in the neighborhood, but I work up in Hamden at Blue Pit Barbecue and currently Dylan's Oyster Cellar. So all like small neighborhood, like owner-operated places.
And you'll have, you will be alcohol certified, correct?
I already am.
You are, and then your employees, how many employees do you think you're gonna have initially?
Front of the house, like 4 or 5, maybe.
And then, yeah, they're the ones that are servers, and then you'll have a small food operation there?
Yes, there's a 300 square foot kitchen, and I started interviewing chefs last week.
And the people who are gonna be in front of the house who are gonna have them alcohol certified?
Yes.
All right. It looks like, what's the community, Douglas District Community Association? Okay. So you met with them and so we have a letter from Douglas District and they support the issuance of this license.
They were very enthusiastic about the idea of someone coming in and opening like a friendly neighborhood joint on that corner.
Okay. And now, Mr. Kadensky mentioned the live entertainment, but can you explain to us what you think the live entertainment will be?
At the very most, maybe like a single like guitar player, possibly karaoke for events or a DJ for like individual events, but nothing on a regular schedule.
The 6 years I was at Waterfront Hotel, that was a full 3 or 4 piece band every night of the week, and I kind of lost some of the hearing in like my left ear from that repeated like 100 decibel environment. So I'm not looking to have loud bands or make a lot of noise in that space. It's 38 seats. The kitchen's about 300 square feet. That leaves about 700 or 800 of actual like floor space to do seats. So yeah, 38 seats and maybe like 12 tables.
And you're doing some work on it now?
The owner of the property is renovating the building over the course of the next 2 to 4 months, and then I'm going to come in and spend about 2 months building out the bar and doing lighting and like finishing touches.
When do you think it'll be done?
Oh, I hope like December or January. It'd be nice to be around for the holidays.
All right. Any questions from the commissioners?
Yeah, it just sparked a question. You said you can have about 38 seats
Mm-hmm.
plus 12 tables?
No, 38 seats around 12 tables. It's about a 12-seat bar and then probably 24 to 26
Thank you.
seats at tables.
So the BMZA opinion from July of 2012 indicates an MOU that's in place with the existing owner, and it does speak to hours and live entertainment. Are you familiar with that?
That was with the prior.
So that was not part, this is not part of the conversation with the current?
No. No, that was when the other individual,
And frankly, you're right, that this was signed with Fells Point Residents Association
Right.
in Dallas Street
Hmm.
neighborhood, not Douglas.
the Douglas Group has come into existence maybe in the last 10 years. They have a little swath that they run up Bond Street and over. They have their own little niche that they've been in. They've been, if you can see, they've been very vocal. They've been very nice about being business friendly in that area because it's, really a lot of the vacant buildings and stuff in there that really they got to get them open again.
Well, I would just, Mr. Atwell, caution you to be aware of these conditions in this BMZA opinion, so, because 2 of the neighborhood associations with the previous owner had an agreement. So I would just be aware of those conditions so that you're sensitive to that from a
Sure.
community standpoint.
Anything else?
So, Mr. Smith?
All right. Having heard the proffer from council and testimony today from the applicant, I'm satisfied that the requirements to transfer the ownership of this BD7 beer wine liquor license have been met, and I will grant the issuance of the transfer with continuation of live entertainment.
I concur with the transfer and the continuation of live entertainment.
I too grant the transfer with the continuation of live entertainment. Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
On the call exhibits for the record, Board Exhibit 1, love support from Douglas District, dated 8/5/2019. Board Exhibit 2, news article.
Council?
Gaiety Liquors, 412 East Baltimore Street, Class A beer, wine, and liquor license. Request for hardship extension under Article 12-2202. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin J. Kadensky, representing my newfound clients.
All right. Let's have them sworn in, please.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
This is a request. What happened is they were at that location for a long time, but the lease had expired, and now they needed an opportunity to either sell the license or be able to find another location in that 46th district, which would be a little tough with the new zoning, but that's the last remaining asset they have, and the hardship would be that they need to be able to find a new location or have somebody else take over the license.
So just to clarify for the record, can you please state your names for the record?
And your name?
My name Jack Lojong Park.
Thank you. And
My name is Chehi Creations.
okay, thank you. Both applicants. Okay. Anything else?
And that would be it. There's a couple of these that will be coming in front of you in the next couple of weeks because of the places losing their leases or they're not doing any real business.
All right. Questions from the commissioners?
No questions.
And Mr. Page, is this the hardship for 180 days?
That's correct, Madam Chair.
Thank you. All right, having heard proffer from council, I will grant the request for hardship extension not to exceed 180 days.
Not to exceed 360 days, Madam Chair.
180 days, not to exceed 360 days. Thank you.
I didn't know I was up. I to grant the hardship extension for 180 days, not to exceed 300.
I concur.
Thank you.
Hey, they just finished. That was right.
Cooper's Liquor, 568-70 Old Town Mall, Class A, beer, wine, and liquor license. Request for hardship extension under Article 12-2202. Please come forward.
Again, for the record, Melvin J. Kanansky representing the applicant.
Let's have the applicant sworn in, please.
You swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Um,
What was your name?
I'm sorry, what was your name?
Sarah, but
Oh, thank you.
licensing. This is another one where, I mean, if you know that block in Old Town Mall, there's really nobody there anymore. They were the last, one of the vesting places, and they were open a couple days trying to find somewhere to go, so they needed a hardship extension again to find either another place or to be able to dispose of the license. They had been there for 15 years, so it's not like it was something that happened yesterday, but apparently, I don't know what the city's plans for that block is, but it seems like that Old Town or Old Town Mall, or whatever it's called, about every 15 years it goes through some sort of rebirth, and then the rebirth doesn't last very long and it dies off. But that's what they need in this case.
All right. Any questions?
I just understand that it's going to happen this time. No questions.
Is that like death and taxes?
No questions.
No questions, okay. And again, this is 180 days, not to exceed 360? All right.
That's correct, Madam Chair.
All right, I will approve the request for hardship extension of up to 180 days, not to exceed 360 days.
I concur.
I grant the hardship extension for 180 days, not to exceed 360 days.
Good luck.
No exhibits.
Yes. Mr. Page, that's on morning docket?
That's correct. The board is in recess until 1 p.m.
Great, thank you. Well,
This is the amendments, and it's actually pretty short.
Working man today.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Board of Liquor License Commissioners of Baltimore City's afternoon violations docket. If you have a cellular phone or any other electronic device, I would ask that you silence it or shut it off now. When your case is called, please step up to the microphone, state your name, and if you're going to be giving testimony, please be prepared to be sworn in. Madam Chair, may I call the preliminary matter?
yes.
Erica Robinson, Epic Lounge Cut Rate LLC, trading as Epic Lounge Bar and Cut Rate 2711 East Fayette Street. This matter has been postponed and will be heard at a future date. Calling the first case, Hab Tegebriel, I'm sorry about this, and Sibhatu Dasmir Liquor and Grocery Store LLC, trading as Dasmir Liquor and Grocery Store 2331 East Federal Street. This is a Class A beer, wine, liquor license, a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors.
Good afternoon, sir. Please state your name for the record. You are the licensee for 2331 East Federal Street?
Yes.
All right, you are here today for, oh, excuse me, yes, thank you. Let's have him sworn in, please.
Raise your right hands, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Sir, you are here today on a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors from May 21st, 2019. Are you aware of that, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Sir, do you admit or deny this violation?
Just admit.
You admit? Okay. All right, let's just have someone just to testify very briefly, put it on the record.
Agent Clark, on May 21st, 2019 at 10:20 p.m., the Baltimore City Liquor Board, along with the Police Vice Unit, Detective Greenhill, conducted an underage sales to minor investigation at Dismere Liquor and Grocery Store located at 2331 East Federal Street. Also working was Baltimore City Police Cadet Montanez, who was under the age of 21 at the time of investigation. Cadet Montanez who was working in an undercover capacity, entered Dismere Liquor and Grocery Store located at 2331 East Federal Street, which time Cadet Montanez purchased a 12-ounce bottle of Corona beer from licensee, Mr. Sababatu. Cadet Montanez paid for the alcoholic beverage, which was priced at $2.25 using the department $20 bill, and received change from Mr. Sabatu. And Cadet Montanez exited the establishment carrying a black plastic bag containing the purchased alcoholic beverage, and proceeded back to the vehicles where members of Vice and the Liquor Board was waiting. Minutes later, Vice, along with the Liquor Board, entered the location identified as Dismere Liquor and Grocery Store, advised Mr. Sabatu that he had just sold alcohol to an underage police cadet. Sergeant Leisher recovered the departmental $20 bill, and the change was returned back to the establishment. Your agent, Agent Clark, photographed the Corona beer and returned it back to the establishment, as well as Mr. Sabatu was advised by Vice and Baltimore City Liquor Board that he would not be criminally charged for the underage sale, but an administrative report would be written to the Baltimore City Liquor Board, and we left the establishment in control of Mr. Sabatu.
Thank you. Mr. Sabatu, can you tell us what happened that night? Do you have anything to say about what occurred?
Yeah, just the evening, 10 o'clock, I was tired then. The guy, when I look at him, he's a big one. I don't suspect underage.
All right, and what have you done anything differently since then? So have you, ensured that you ID everyone that comes into the establishment, made any changes like that? Okay. This is your first violation, any questions from commissioners?
None.
No. Okay. All right, sir, I find a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on May 21st, 2019. And given that this is your first offense, I will impose a $350 fine.
I concur with the fine.
I find a violation of Rule 4.01A on May 21st, 2019, and concur with the imposition of a $350 fine.
Thank you.
Can I call exhibits for the record? Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report. Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Greenhill. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Agent Clark. See you down here, sir.
Calling the next case, Shahilja Anand, 5302 Frankfurt LLC, trading as Tusker Lounge, 5302 Frankfurt Avenue. It's a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors.
For the record, Melvin J. Kanansky representing the licensee.
Hold on one second.
I got it now.
Okay, all right. Let's have everyone sworn in, please.
Raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Hold on one second. Yeah. Okay. Mr. Kudinski, is this an admission or denial?
An admission.
Admission? All right. We don't have to go ahead and read in anything into the record. Can you let us know what happened?
Yeah, in this particular case, I don't know, the licensees have been having trouble getting employees because of the area. They've been having a lot of crime, so they had a relative working there. That's why he was a little reluctant to do anything. And it was only their first couple of days, and unfortunately, he didn't card. And she's since made sure everybody's going to card everybody. And in fact, they have a buyer. I think she's had enough in the city for a lot of reasons. And I think if the deal goes through, they want to go ahead and sell the place. They hadn't had a minor. They had some other things with regard to operating as a tavern, but this last time they had a violation with regard to sale of the minor, according to my record, looks back in 2016.
Right.
And I think it's just the kind of thing where if they accept this buyer, I saw the letter of intent, and she wants to go ahead and move on. I just wants to go to Howard County, so I think maybe something nicer out in Howard County. What do you think?
I don't know. So she intends to file a transfer.
It's going to be transfer this one out of here shortly.
Okay. All right. Well, until that happens, have there been any changes to the operation?
She's had the people to make sure I tell them, say, it's hard to tell them, say, all you got to do is ask, but for some reason they're reluctant to ask because they're fearful of people. I said, if you just say, do you have ID? They won't lie, I don't think. And they'll just leave, and they'll say, well, I left it in the car. Well, you can't have them come back. So she's reiterating, whether it's a relative or an employee, that's how they have to do it. All
right. Well, as you mentioned, this is the second sale to minors in our file, and this looks to be a second violation or time that they have appeared before us this year in 2019. Is there anything else you would like to indicate?
Other than, I think they straightened out all the other issues regarding the sanitation and safety. Because you remember last time they were keeping the doors locked because they were afraid they were being held up. There was a shooting out in front lawn. And then they corrected that part, and they lapse on the other side. So I don't know if there's an easy answer to it, other than they're trying to do the very best they can.
All right. Any questions from commissioners?
No question.
All right. I find a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on June 4, 2019. This is the second sales to minors granted within the last couple of years. The last time was in 2016, but this is the fourth time they've appeared before us on a violation. I'm inclined to impose a $750 fine.
I concur with the finding and fine.
I find a violation of Rule 4.01A and would concur with the imposition of a $750 fine.
Thank you.
I call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective LeBron. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Agent Perez.
Calling next case, Sual Lee and Darlene Williams, Sual Lighthouse Company Incorporated, trading as Club Bar 1609 Lawrence Street. There's a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, J.U. representing the licensee.
Hold on one second. Let's have everyone sworn in, please.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
All right. Mr. Lee?
Yes, Mrs. Lee will be moving by way of admission.
Admission? Okay. Thank you. All right. Can you tell us what happened?
Yes, long story short, this is our first time. There was a previous occasion where her employee, Miss Barbara Bronson, had did a sale to a minor back in January 2018. I think it was January 3rd, 2018. Since then, she took measures to make sure that all her employees, follow the rules and regulations. But this time, she did it herself. And I asked her what happened, and she said she has been suffering from severe toothache in her tooth here and here, and she has been meaning to take care of it, but it's just been very difficult for her with the toothache. And on that night, the pain was very severe, and she was medicated. And she thought that the cadet who came in was her regular, so assuming that she had previously checked him, that she just went ahead and sold it to her. And so basically, she didn't do her due diligence. She should have checked everybody who was under 40. She knows that very well. It's just that she was in pain and she made a mistake this time. And she since then went to dentist, and doctor said that he can't save the teeth, and she just got them removed. If you could show them the teeth.
That's all right, that's all right.
She
That's
really
all right.
did. She showed to me.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Were they cooperative?
Yes.
Okay. All right, anything else, sir?
That's it.
All right. I find a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on June 4, 2019. I hear the proffer from counsel, Mr. Lee, I understand, but this is the second violation within last 6 months or so of a sales to minors, so there has to be something that needs to happen to, I'm sorry?
18 months. More.
No, we have 2019.
I believe it happened back in January 3rd of 2018, the first time, and then
March 1st, 2020.
Ooh, 2018?
2018.
Okay, all right. Let's, okay. All right.
nonetheless, yes, I understand.
I will impose a $750 fine with 30 days to pay.
Thank you.
I concur with the findings and fine.
I find a violation of Rule 4.01A and would concur with the imposition of a $750 fine.
Thank you.
You go, Mr. Yu. Like call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective LeBron. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Agent Perez.
Calling next case, Larry Sink, Kim Sink Enterprises Incorporated, trading as Club Paradise, 1300-02 Lawrence Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors.
Whoever intends to testify, have them sworn in, please.
Raise your right hands, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your names for the record.
I am Larry Sink, the owner.
I'm Shanika Lee.
Can you come up to the microphone, please?
I'm Shanika Lee, ma'am.
Okay. You are the,
Shanika Lee, SHANIKALEE, Lee.
all right. Mr. Sink, you are here today on a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors, that took place on June 4, 2019, for 1300-02 Lawrence Street. Do you admit or deny this violation?
The facts occurred as stated here. There were mitigating circumstances.
I understand, sir. Do you admit or deny?
This happened as it says, yes.
Thank you. All right. All right. You were saying that there are mitigation.
Yeah, there's three things I'd like to point out. All of my employees have undergone necessary training. I brought Ms. Lee's certificate along, if you'd like to enter that as
Yes.
evidence.
It will be received.
Okay. The second is Ms. Lee has worked for me for 5 years with no previous incidents of any sort. And as to the third, there were unusual circumstances about this sale, and she'd like to tell you about that herself, if we may.
Go ahead, Ms. Lee.
Yes, ma'am. The night that it happened, on a week before May the 28th that night, because I remember everything that I do, and I have documentations that night. The same male came in there, and he showed me an ID. So what makes him a minor the next week?
I'm not sure what to say to that.
Out of 5 years working with them, 8 years, I check everybody IDs. I never ever had this problem before. I just want to know, the rights of that.
I don't have the answer for you. I mean, from our records, this was a cadet who's under the age of 21, and you have admitted, or Mr. Sink has admitted.
Really nice
Okay.
with him, but I just didn't understand from the week before, he was an adult. So this week when you come, you're a minor. That's not fair.
I don't have the answer to that question. Was she cooperative?
Yes.
Okay,
I have a question.
go ahead.
Did you check his ID? Yes,
This
when
time.
he came back.
Last time when
No,
you
I
got
didn't,
charged.
because he asked me, do I remember you? When you remember me, like threw me off track. So if he came that other week looking like the same one, and I'm not crazy because I got that, you came this week, you are adult. I didn't understand it.
I don't know what to say to that. Do you have any questions?
No, no questions.
All right. Given that this is an admission here today, excuse me, is there anything else you'd like to say?
That was all, thank you.
Okay, thank you. This appears to be the first, it looks like you were here before on a violation, but that was dismissed. So this is the first violation before us, and I will impose a fine of $350 for this violation with 30 days to pay.
I concur with the findings in the fine.
I find a violation of Rule 4.01A and would concur with the imposition of a $350 fine.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just think of that form.
Like Exhibits for the record, Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report.
Thank you.
Technical Vaughn. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Agent Perez. Licensee Exhibit 1, alcohol burner certification.
I need that done.
Call the next case. Kun Su Chang is the sole proprietorship, trading as Sedonia Inn, 5900 Moravia Road, Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. Violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors.
Good afternoon. I'll have you sworn in, please.
Raise your right hands, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Please state your names for the record.
Kun Su Chang.
You are the licensee? Yes. And ma'am, do you intend to testify?
My English is sure.
Oh, okay, that's fine. So you're the licensee, that's fine. Okay. Mr. Chang, you are here on a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors, on June 4, 2019.
Yes.
Do you admit or deny this violation?
Well, it's
Hold on one second. Do you agree with the violation or not? You agree with the violation, so it happened?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, so this is an admission, okay? All right, so now you can tell us what happened that night.
We had the help employee the before, but the help after quick, she been working the long hour, like a couple months, and she getting tired.
Don't mean to cut you off. Who is she?
Oh, my wife.
Okay. Are you Miss Mi Chang? Okay. So Miss Chang, she was there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you want her to tell us what happened?
Okay.
You can explain? Okay.
Yeah, my English is very short, but I'll try. Yeah, I received a letter from yours, my minor case. Not minor case. They send the minor, so I check ID before, so I received a letter, so, I'm happy I received the letter, but that time, I work by myself, my helper kick, so I work too long hour. I know my mistake. I made a mistake, but I'll try ID check, after that.
Okay.
I try.
So it was a mistake that
Yeah.
happened? Okay.
And
And so from this point forward, you're always checking ID, correct? Okay. Yes, okay. Were they cooperative? Any questions from the commissioners?
None.
No questions.
All right. I find a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on June 4, 2019. This is the second violation on our record, but it looks like the last one was in 2011. So it's been a number of years. I would impose a $500 fine for this violation.
I concur with the findings and the fine.
I find a violation of Rule 4.01A and would concur with the imposition of a $500 fine.
Thank you. Just go down there for a piece of, they're going to give you a piece of paper.
Thank you.
Like all exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department Report, Detective LeBron. Board Exhibit 2, Investigation Report, Agent Perez.
Calling the next case on the docket, Kyung Yol Biak Son Incorporated, trading as YNS Liquors, 2300 through 02 Hartford Road. There's a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license. Violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors.
All right, let's have everyone sworn in, please.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, sir, what is your name, please?
Kyung Big?
And you are the licensee?
Correct.
All right, you are here on a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on May 21st, 2019. Do you agree or disagree with, do you admit or deny the violation? You deny it?
Yes.
All right.
I guess before we start, can I just say one thing real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
Basically, there was a person who passed away today. Her name was Amelia. She was a homeless person. I know they'll never bring her name up for anything, so I just wanted to bring that up so it's official that people know that someone passed that was a customer of mine.
Okay.
Just to make that aware.
Okay, thank you.
I apologize.
It's a denial.
Oh, denial. Is Cadet Montanez present?
No.
All right. Someone here testify as to what happened?
Well, the only thing he can testify to is coming inside the store. That's all he can testify to. But I did observe him go inside the store and exit with alcohol.
And I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
I did observe him enter the store with nothing in hand and exit with alcohol.
Okay, and he's under the age of 21?
Yes, he was under the age of 21 at the time of the investigation.
Mr. Bayek, did you hear this testimony? Do you have a response? Do you want to ask him questions?
No, not really. Basically, the notice that was given, this is, I guess, Exhibit 1.
Okay.
And then, I guess, just my records. This is Exhibit number 2, showing the fact that I haven't sold in the past. And also, these are Exhibit number 3, which is basically citations from Jack Young. That's from 2018, and this is from 2017.
All right, so
This is just showing my credibility.
I understand, but as to the
Correct.
facts
I was
of
just
the...
about to go to that. First of all, according to the notice, it says 10:30, 10:20. We close at 10:30. Also...
Close at what time?
9:30.
9:30.
Yes. But on the notice, it says 10:30. It also says Mr. Shibatu. I think that was the first person. Obviously, that's not me.
That's right.
Also, I never sold a 12-ounce Corona bottle of Corona. And since I'm not Mr. to, I
Right.
never got a $20 bill.
Right, so I see what you're indicating here, and it looks like that's what the notice says, Bayexon Inc., YNS Liquors, at Hartford Road, right, this notice is not, does not seem to reflect this case. So this is what I will do if my fellow commissioners agree. We don't have, looks like we don't have a cadet here to testify as to what occurred on the inside. And I understand what you're saying, the inconsistency with the notice, so I will dismiss this matter.
Thank you.
If my fellow commissioners agree.
And hopefully I won't be back here again.
Hold on, sir. They have to agree with me
I concur with your findings.
Yeah, I agree with the dismissal.
with the dismissal. Okay.
Yeah, it's been 14, no, going on 15 years. I never got any sort of sales to minors. And I'm hoping to retire pretty soon, so I'll never see you guys again, I hope.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you need this for the exhibit, or?
Sure. Thank you.
Yep, you're done.
We've got exhibits, I think.
That concludes the afternoon doc. Oh, sorry.
Exhibits.
Like exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department Report, Detective Greenhill. Board Exhibit 2, Investigation Report, Agent Clark. Licensee Exhibit 1, Violation Notice. Licensee Exhibit 2, Letter of Recognition from Baltimore City Police Department, Baltimore City Liquor Board. And Licensee Exhibit 3, Citation from Council President Jack Young.
Does that conclude
That concludes our afternoon docket.
Thank you.
Board is in recess until August 22nd at 11 a.m.